You would think that a movie featuring Bryan Cranston and Rob Delaney as evil spies would be a no-brainer, a swish. But unfortunately, this is Argylle. Hi, I'm Josh, and I'm going to talk about the movie Argylle. I do not take pleasure in disliking movies the way I once perhaps did. When I was a younger man, I think I was a little snobbish about movies. Even within the last 15 to 20 years, when the original Avatar came out, I kind of turned up my nose at its simplistic storytelling. I guess something about being middle-aged. Escapism means more, and I also appreciate James Cameron and what he does, and the simplicity of his work, but also the quality of his work and the innovation of his work. Anyway, all that is to say, this is not an Avatar video. All that is to say, I'm not excited to give a negative review for Argylle. There's a lot of promise here and possibility. There are good ingredients. I didn't go into it. I went in a little annoyed because it's one of those trailers that you see if you go to the movies a lot. It's one of those trailers that you see dozens of times before you see the movie, and that always colors the experience. And in fact, there were really annoying people next to me in the movie who were reciting all the trailer lines and getting excited when the trailer lines popped up in Argylle. And they were having a blast. So maybe go find their YouTube channel and they'll have a more effusive and fun and positive review. It's also one of those cases, and I'll do the overview in a second, but it's one of those cases where specific moments that are featured in the trailer are in the movie, but they're very different, or they're recontextualized, or they're edited differently, and you can tell, and it's very jarring. It always takes me out of the movie. Or in this case, I wonder if it's just the movie itself taking me out of the movie. Anyway, this is a movie directed by Matthew Vaughn, who is well known for the Kingsman movies and other exciting entertainments. I think he's a pretty fun director. His movies are over the top, and sometimes his sequels get a little insane trying to top the previous movie, but he's really good usually at orchestrating kind of cheeky, fun crime chaos and stuff like that. So that seemed promising. We have kind of a labyrinthine meta, twist upon twist spy movie about an author played by Bryce Dallas Howard who writes spy novels which are somehow, they're either prescient or something's going on where she is predicting real life events, and so real life spies are coming after her. And Sam Rockwell plays a real-life spy who says he's trying to protect her and help her, but is he everything he claims to be? Sam Jackson is in there as a spy. Bryan Cranston, aforementioned, as the head of the evil spies. Catherine O'Hara plays her mother. Great cast. Unbelievable cast list. Ariana DeBose, Dua Lipa, John Cena. Interesting people in this movie. But again, it brings me no great pleasure to report that I did not enjoy this mess of a movie. Okay, so there's just a lot going on. I'm not going to spoil the movie. I think I'm going to make a business spoiler about this movie and its future intentions, but I'm not going to spoil the plot of this movie. Look, if it looks fun to you, if you're interested, maybe stream it sometime or see it on a plane just to see what the twists are and to see some really cool cast members doing, interesting stuff. But boy, this is one of those movies where there's just something off about the pace. There's something off about the dialogue and the editing. It just feels off from the start. And it's supposed to be exciting. We start on a mission with Henry Cavill playing Agent Argylle from the fictitious world. We were seeing the book played out. This is all in the trailer, if you've seen the trailer. And he's on a mission that goes wrong, and then there's some twists and turns there, and then we cut to Bryce Dallas Howard as Ellie Conway, the author of the book, who is for some reason reading the final climactic revealing moments of her book at a book signing at a Barnes and Noble. And she just read the ending to a crowd of people who gathered to learn about this book. So now I guess they don't have to buy it. And it's those little things where it's well, wait a minute. I know it's a movie and it's supposed to be a fun movie, but there's all kinds of baffling little things like that. And so not too long after, she gets swept up into all the intrigue, and then there's all kinds of revelations about who is who and the pasts of certain people and things catching up and things not what they seem and all of that. But all the while, it just feels there's a couple things wrong. I think this movie thinks that its cool cast and cool director and fun vibe is going to cover a bunch of cracks, going to cover a bunch of problems. And when you're trying to build, a mystery and a crime, a spy story, and kind of thread these twists and turns, you really have to be deft. You can't, even if you're having fun, it has to be done well. And there's movies that do that well. I think of a movie called The Man Who Knew Too Little with Bill Murray. That is an underrated movie. That's not the same thing, but it's a comedy about spies, and he plays a guy. It's also kind of like a parody of The Game, because Bill Murray is a guy who gets swept up into, he thinks he's going into this like almost like Improv Everywhere spy experience. And so, but he's actually among real spies, and he's in real danger, but he doesn't know it. And that's a very, very underrated, funny movie, The Man Who Knew Too Little. Look that one up. In Argylle, it just feels like they're just like, I don't know, it's fun, it's great, it's colorful, there's a CGI cat, like, we don't have to take anything seriously. And everything just feels like, oh, okay. So I think that there's problems with the storytelling and the revelations not being earned or not being satisfying, but also just fundamentally the spy books that she writes are supposed to be international bestsellers. They're supposed to be like 4-quadrant hits. Everybody loves them. People who love spy movies, soccer moms, young kids, they're just supposed to be the best thing ever. And there's fights for the movie rights, and it's like this incredible behemoth of a property, and they're so dumb. That's the number one problem, is that it's so simplistic. The little glimpses we get of the world, it's just so kind of like standard issue placeholder text spy book that I think it would have gone a long way to try and make it actually interesting. I know this is based on books, so maybe it's more interesting in those books, but the decision to just let it be dumb in the movie, I think, is poor. That's unfortunate. Again, I'm not going to spoil the twists and turns, so I can't talk too much more about the plot, but I will say it goes a little crazy. I'll also say that, without getting into a minefield, let me just say that Bryce Dallas Howard looks amazing in this movie. She's adorable. And then through the machinations of the plot, when her look changes, there are certain things that they change to glam her up, but certain things they don't change about her general appearance that I found delightful and positive and amazing. And I'm not going to say more about it because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but she looks great and she's doing her best. Sam Rockwell is always a treat. Sam Jackson, boy, there are scenes in the climax of this movie. Sam Jackson's not a main character; he's like a side character, and he's got a relationship with Matthew Vaughn from the Kingsman movies, right? And so he's just doing a solid and showing up as a character who is not. He's far away from the action, and he's just kind of like waiting for the good guys to send him something. And there's scenes of him just sitting there in a room going, "Come on, come on." And it's like, oh my God, they couldn't think of business for, one of our greatest actors to do. They got him on set. They got him in a costume. He's in this movie. They couldn't think of anything for him to do. It's just, it's not great, folks. I'm sorry. I wanted to like it. I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it at least to be okay. And I really did not have a good time. One more thing I want to say, and this constitutes like a meta spoiler about the studio and the franchise ambitions of the movie. Nothing about the actual story, but there is a post-credits or mid-credits thing that teases that we're going to be getting origin movies of Argylle. Like, that is a bit of a spoiler, I guess, but not to anything that happens in the movie. This movie is about the author of those books and the adventure that she goes on. But then there's this thing in the end credits that's supposed to be tantalizing, I guess, that says you're going to get a series of movies showing you where the Agent Argylle came from and his origin story. Get ready, it's coming. And it's just like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, anything can happen these days. If I think this movie's doing okay. So they could go to streaming. It could be a series. They could make it happen if they want to. But I for one, was not jazzed at the notion of a series of movies just based on the least interesting part of this movie, which is the Argylle stories themselves. So I'm sorry, gang. If you like this movie, that's great. I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. I could have just been miscalibrated when I saw it. But that's my review of Argylle. I will be back with more reviews and art videos and riffs real soon. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you later. Josh out. Bye.